finishes and factions catching action.
And welcome back, everybody, to our coverage to Finishes and Factions does night one of WrestleMania 41. So far, we've covered pretty much every match, but we decided that the last two matches, there was enough there for us to be able to sort of split this one off and yeah, give it its own episode. So we crack straight in with match 6 on the card of night one, which was the WWE Women's Championship match, which sees Tiffany Stratton as
It's
our current champion.
Tiffy time!
Yes, that's about as high pitched as he goes without a kick to the nards.
I mean, I could probably go a
Um,
lot higher, but I wasn't really attempting to. But yeah, it's Tiffy time! Woohoo! I've been looking forward to this match for a little while. Charlotte Flair's getting her ass handed to her on a big silver plate, like she deserves, for being a Flair.
You have no issue with Ric Flair. You just have an issue with Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
everyone loves Ric
yeah,
Flair.
except the women he leaves behind.
Well, yeah.
A bit like Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, everyone loves Charlotte apart from the men that she leaves behind. There's been a fair few of those now.
I just meant that Charlotte was one of the women that Ric Flair left behind.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Works on a couple of different levels, you see. Yes, as you've no doubt guessed, we'll just go quickly through introductions again. My name is Adam. The other voice on the other voice on the podcast you can hear is Rich.
It certainly is.
And we go into match 6, which, as with pretty much every match on the card on both nights, has an opening VT, which basically shows Tiffany's like meteoric rise to the top and the past achievements of the Nepo Queen herself,
Including her purchase of the victory of the 2025 Royal Rumble, which is the reason she is in this match. I say she purchased it, it pretty much felt like it. She kind of decided she was going shopping and went, ooh, I'm going to buy another title opportunity. Yep, I'll purchase that one at the Royal Rumble, thank you very much. And there we go. But
yeah,
saying
we'll
that,
move on to
if you do look down, as we're introduced to these superstars, we are given a few statistics about them. The first one with Charlotte, as she came down, as she was she was the second one to the ring, which was unusual considering she's the challenger. Normally, the challenger has been coming out first, and then the champion has been coming out. But we are introduced to. Well, I'll give you Charlotte's details first. She is a 6 times women's champion, a 7-time women's world champion, a 2 times NXT champion, a 1-time women's tag champion, and that was with Asuka. I can't remember the year, but both Charlotte Flair and Asuka held those titles for 41 days before losing them at the Royal Rumble to the team of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And she is a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. That would be 2020 and then 2025.
So she won the tag titles. You're right with Asuka, and it was at TLC in 2020.
Oh, there we go. See, I love the fact that we both look for different information when we go to do our research. I just wanted to know who, and ChatGPT was very helpful with the extra little bit of information. But you've seemed to have pulled off a completely different section of information and brought out a little bit more to the game. So yeah, touche. Two heads are better than one on that research.
Definitely, and yeah, I mean it's actually quite important to note as well the fact that despite all this really rather impressive resume of different titles that Charlotte has held, it's actually been 2 years since the last time she held championship gold. So it's been a little while since.
Has it really been that long since we've had to deal with the Nepo Queen herself?
We've had to deal with her before then. She was only out of action for a year.
she
So it
was with
was,
that knee injury, but yeah, she did have a little while. I think Charlotte Flair fell off as Rhea was coming up through the ranks, and I think it was a perfect swap. I'm not sure professional wrestling needs Charlotte Flair as much as Charlotte Flair needs professional wrestling.
yeah, pretty much. It's definitely a bit tipped to the scale there for it.
I have seen
But
some interesting memes regarding her dad the last few days, though, but we're not going to go into that yet because they are some spoiler memes, so we will leave those where they need to be, which is pretty
but
much where these two women left it, to be fair.
well, we'll carry on going over the entrances because
We
we've
will.
skirted completely past Tiffy's entrance, and the only other note that I made of Charlotte's entrance was that she was driven into the arena in a Rolls Royce Phantom.
She
Now,
was.
it's I'm sorry, the Rolls Royce Phantom. It's a prestige car for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It is a beautiful piece of machinery. It's just a shame that it had a rather ugly piece of machinery come out of it.
Yes.
Now, Tiffy's entrance, very, very different. Now, as Rich mentioned, Tiffy did come out first, and we had the entire WrestleMania 41 stage turned into Barbie's dream house.
We did. I'm just going to throw out before we move too much further that the car that Charlotte Flair arrived in starts at $357,000, and with all its included optional extras, finishes at a grand total of $422,000. While the Spectra, the top end Rolls Royce Phantom, starts at $423,000 US. So there was an awful lot of money driving up onto that stage, holding something worth very little in the passenger seat.
That's not true.
I mean,
The amount of
her net
plastic
worth
surgery,
is incredible, but yeah.
the amount of plastic surgery alone makes Charlotte Flair worth probably about as much as the car.
That was quite funny. That was the one thing I found interesting about her entry, VT. When you look at the pictures of Charlotte Flair when she was first
Oh,
winning
mate.
titles compared to the Charlotte Flair that goes into this match, there is a
Skeletor.
huge difference. And I'm not talking about 15 years either. There's a massive difference. Like a completely different person.
Mate, I thought fucking He-Man was going to come and call on the power of fucking Grayskull to beat her. Like, yeah, no, I'm not flogging a dead horse, but that horse is fucking dead.
Yeah, well, Tiffany Stratton did a good job of flogging it around for a little while, especially the with the fact that she's been champion for 106 days. Her third
106 days,
her,
third title defense
is against the most decorated female superstar in the history of this sport. As much as we don't like her, that is pretty much what she is. And,
one of Tiffy's promos that she cut between when Charlotte selected her as the champion she was going to be going up against was pointed out really well that if Tiffany loses to Charlotte at WrestleMania, Tiffany loses nothing. She loses the title, admittedly, but in terms of credibility, loses nothing.
It's Charlotte
However,
that has everything to lose with this match.
Yeah.
This
With
is
as highly decorated as she is, we've got to remember that Tiffany Stratton is still greener than grass.
Oh, definitely.
She is so green. She's not been in the industry for very, very long. In fact, this was her
first WrestleMania.
First wrestle. So just as well as being her first match and WrestleMania as well as the first match that she's actually had against Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
So think about that. That's so many unknowns.
Oh, definitely. But when you have an opponent, like Charlotte Flair, you have 15 years worth of YouTube footage to see what you are going to get. Plus, you can watch every episode and every match she's ever had on Netflix. So for whatever brand she's been representing at the time, her matches are all on Netflix. Pay-per-view, NXT, standard weekly shows. You can find everything you need to for Charlotte Flair online. So she's got to be probably one of the easiest people to do research for a match against because of how much footage there is of her out there.
But the other side of that coin is that Charlotte Flair knows all of that exists as well. It could very well be a case that she is coming out with a completely different game plan that she's never had before.
It could be. It could be. And I think if we're lucky enough to see that, then, as fans, we are going to really, really get a decent match here. And the start itself was just enough. Charlotte Flair drops Tiffany right at the start, at which point you kind of think, here we go. This is where amateur and professional get shown the difference between the two. But actually, I think Tiffany Stratton, going into this match, has Charlotte's number, and I think at the start of this match, it is very even. But Tiffany pretty much has it, I think. If you look at an overall sort of census of this, and if you look through my notes, a lot of them start with the letters CF. But there is also a lot of TS in there too. So, it was very even and very equal for a lot of it.
So, Charlotte Flair's biggest issue was definitely her ego that was playing more of a part in her decisions in the ring during this match.
Yes.
She started off very composed and it broke down in a hurry. Charlotte Flair even went to the extent of imitating our current NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer, at one stage. The only thing that was missing was Booker T's cum spasms.
Yeah, I you know what? If I had the money to write NXT a big fat check to fire Booker T for that, I would. There is nothing that ruins the Stephanie Vaquer match more than Booker T dry humping the microphone every time she does that move.
But do you know what? Watching it happen without Booker T being there somehow feels wrong now.
It does. It does.
It doesn't look right in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that was interesting to see Charlotte Flair do something like that. But again, this is what I was just saying about Charlotte Flair, is that she is veteran enough now that she has a plethora of offense, some of which we've never seen her do before.
Right?
And she is experienced enough to know what she can and can't do.
So she uses that kiss of death. She uses, we see her with the Boston Crab. We see her use her standard moonsaults. We get sit out power bombs. You see natural selection eventually. You see an awful lot from Charlotte Flair, and actually, you kind of get to realize, and I can't believe this is going to come out of my mouth, but when you see her in the ring, you actually get to see the glimpses of how talented she used to be and how progressive Charlotte Flair was when she first burst onto the professional wrestling scene. Some of what she was doing against Tiffany Stratton was very young Charlotte-esque. Unfortunately, it just wasn't as good as it used to be. But this is a woman now who is sort of in her late 30s, early 40s, where when we first saw Charlotte Flair, she was late 20s, early 30s, and a lot can happen in that time, and she's had a lot of problems with those knees. You know, over the years, she's had quite a few knee issues that she's had to go out and have surgery with, and maybe if you look at it, if you had Tiffy Stratton in her prime versus Charlotte Flair's and hers, I think this would have given us the match that as fans we deserved. I don't think we got from this match everything this match could have given us.
No, I can agree with that. It's
You've got the face of the company, the face of women's wrestling on SmackDown, going up against, the most decorated female superstar in WWE history. That in itself is supposed to be a 5-star match, surely. That's got to be like a good sort of like 4.5 to 5-star match. One of the best matches of the weekend at WrestleMania because of what it is. This wasn't anywhere near that at all.
I don't know about you, but I saw several times where Charlotte Flair was gassed.
Yes.
She was running on complete empty. And
She's
hats
not
off
really
to-
had a proper match in the build up to this. Like, yes, she's had matches, but none of them have been longer than 5 minutes. And now she's gone into something that's meant to be a 25, 30-minute match. And she hasn't got the stamina.
Yeah,
Which
she-
is
she
unusual
had all
considering
kinds
she's
of-
Ric Flair's daughter, because apparently his stamina was half decent.
Yes, but Ric Flair wasn't a pillow princess.
And that's pretty much how Tiffy Stratton treated Charlotte Flair towards the end of this match. Like a bitch.
because Charlotte Flair, quite honestly, was too gassed to carry on.
She was,
she-
yeah.
She was towards the end of this match. She was making tiny little mistakes.
But that
Some of
natural
which
selection
probably-
she went for, where she got the 2 count on it, it was not smooth at all. And it actually looked like Tiffy landed in quite an awkward position on her neck.
Yeah, I think if any match was to demonstrate why Charlotte Flair should ride off into the sunset on whatever new 20-something boy toy she wants to sort of mucking about with, it was that match.
For her in-ring career, yes. The one thing that I will say I think Charlotte would be very good at would be a manager role. The talent that
Maybe.
she has within sort of the industry, and let's face it, if she didn't have some sort of talent, she wouldn't be the most decorated female superstar. And I mean, yes, some of that talent comes from the name, I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure if you gave her someone like, I don't know, one of the Evolve women or one of the new women coming into NXT and gave her an opportunity to run management for a little while, I think she'd do really, really well with it, and she'd probably be able to help some younger superstars do incredibly well.
You know what? I can sort of see what you're going. I can sort of see where you're going with it, and I can't disagree with you to a certain extent because I don't feel that we've seen enough of Charlotte Flair's nurturing side in recent years to know if she's going to be a good manager or not. She's
Tough.
got all the potential for it.
Tough love sometimes works better than a nurture, especially if you get
it's gotta be
someone, the right person.
But a manager, to me, has to be in some ways selfless in respect of the team that they're managing.
Yes.
And Charlotte Flair is probably the most selfish woman I think we've ever met.
That is very, very true. But she doesn't end up being selfish for too much within this match, because at the end of this, Tiffy lays down a whooping on the Charlotte Flair on the top turnbuckle. She does end up eating a face buster, and I said, and a very poor natural selection from Charlotte Flair for a 2 count. Charlotte Flair then decides that the pin is not the way forward. She is going to make Tiffy tap, and goes for a figure 4 submission hold, but Tiffy ends up rolling through and rolling up Charlotte Flair, and then Charlotte Flair rolls through a second time to get a 2 count on Tiffy. Tiffy then pops an Alabama slammer on Charlotte Flair into the turnbuckle, which basically puts Charlotte Flair on her ass, which I'm not going to lie, probably would to me as well, if my massive nose didn't take the impact for me. We then see Tiffy hoist Charlotte up onto her shoulders for a rolling senton, and then goes climbing up top for the prettiest moonsault, which she hits perfectly for the 1, 2, 3 for Tiffy Stratton to retain her WWE Women's title. And I'm not going to lie, I have not partied so much over a wrestling event since Jey Uso beat Gunther at the start of the night. I was so ecstatic to see the look on Charlotte's face, because it was just pure disappointment. Like, what? I personally feel that by the look on Charlotte's face, I feel she was told she was going to win this match, and they changed it at the last minute when they realised that she didn't have the crowd Tiffy did, and by changing that result was going to cause a lot more damage, because Tiffy was more over than they realised. I think Charlotte was promised that she was going to get that win and that title run, and they swapped it out on her.
I'm going to be honest with you and say that I don't think that's the case. I think Charlotte Flair knew she was going in there to lose, because, with every great respect, she never had the crowd.
No, she didn't. The
minute she walked up, she had a reasonably big pop when she came out at the Royal Rumble. After the Royal Rumble, every last crowd has hated her.
Yeah,
they have booed, they have taunted, they have it's been brutal to be Charlotte Flair in front of a WWE crowd at the moment. And
has been, to be fair. I mean, I'm definitely glad that Tiffy retained, and for Tiffy to get a name like Charlotte Flair on her resume is a huge, huge thing for Tiffy Stratton. So, well done, Tiffy, on that retention.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think Tiffy showed the war wounds of this match, because
I'm sure she chipped a tooth in this match, because when she got out of the ring, it looked like she chipped a tooth.
I had to go back a few, about 20 seconds, about 2 or 3 times. But I literally noted down in my notes here to say that she fucking chipped a tooth. I'm convinced she did. I'm convinced it was one of her front teeth.
It is missing. But when you go back to see her in the interview later on, there's like in the post show they did a whole set of press interviews, and Tiffy's teeth were fine. Now, whether she actually did break one and she's got like a set of clip-ins so she can then go, right, I need to go and see a dentist and get this shit sorted. Cut my tooth, motherfucker. But yeah, no, I was positive she'd done some damage in that match, but it turns out she hadn't. Right.
Yeah, I was fully convinced that she'd chipped a tooth. I'm not going to lie.
It certainly was. Right. With that one, we are going to move on to our next segment. So we will be with you in 1 second. Go. We jump into our last segment before our main event, into a Hall of Fame recap, of which we see the class of 2025 stand atop of the entrance ramp. That being Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart for their match from WrestleMania 13. The natural...
By CM Punk.
They were inducted by CM Punk. the natural disasters, which were earthquake and typhoon.
Well, we only saw earthquake.
Yeah, typhoon
No,
and
we only saw no, wrong
we
way
saw
round.
one of them
We,
because one of
we
them
saw
unfortunately passed
typhoon.
away.
We saw typhoon because earthquake died June 7th of 2006.
He did.
I don't know. I don't know who inducted the natural disasters, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we did the Hall of Fame episode prior to the Hall of Fame being done, purely for the fact that we knew that this week was going to be a very busy week for us, and adding an extra episode into it in the time period we had was just asking a little bit too much for ourselves. So Adam did a brilliant Hall of Fame episode on a pre-release. If you haven't listened to that, it's the Finishes and Factions does a Hall of Fame class of 2025. Go and check that one out. It was a great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it.
You
Pardon
know
me.
what? I enjoyed making it. It was a very different challenge to doing one of these episodes. Which yeah, we're reviewing content that's already been out. This was something original that I could really get my sort of teeth into. But at this point, it was when I recorded it, nobody knew. I had suspicions who would induct who. I didn't know CM Punk was going to be inducting um, the
First
first
match.
match to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. That one I could never have called it, but yeah, the Michelle McCool was inducted by her husband, Mister The Undertaker.
I was going to say Mr. The
Diamond Dallas,
Undertaker.
Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, inducted Lex Luger.
I forgot about Lex Luger. He's not in my notes. I was sat there going, it looks a little bit light. Who have I forgotten? Yes, Lex Luger. He stood up on stage as well, didn't he, to receive his award?
He did. He did. He came out in a wheelchair. I will be honest, I genuinely thought, I hoped that he would try and do the entire thing walking. But do you know what? He had a phenomenal career. He's now suffering the fruits of that labour to a certain extent. And
Isn't he the
did
man
what he
that
thought
body
he could.
slammed Andre the Giant?
No,
No,
He body slammed Yokozuna
that was the
on
one.
the USS Defiant as part of
A challenge, wasn't
I
it?
think it was a Great American Bash. I remember distinctly mentioning this in the special episode I did on the Hall of Fame inductees. And I mean, the only other one we haven't talked about was the man himself, the game, the cerebral assassin, was inducted by none other than Shawn Michaels himself, who, from what I understand, still haven't watched the Hall of Fame ceremony. But from what I understand, Shawn Michaels' entire induction speech was basically ragging on Hunter for about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, of which I've seen clips of it, and he's one of the only guys that seems to, that no matter how many times I tell him stop emailing me at 1 in the morning, he continues to email me at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
It
what
makes
I
me
found
question my mom.
funny is Triple H is the guy that told Ric Flair that he needed to wrap up his Hall of Fame induction speech, and yet Triple H took an hour to induct himself and everyone else into the Hall of Fame just on his own.
Yeah, but there's only one person that sits above fucking Triple H in WWE, and that's Nick Khan.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. We are then treated to a VT for our next PLE after WrestleMania.
Which
We
is
are, of course, talking
Backlash.
about Backlash, yes. Now, I'm looking forward to this because you always get the. This is basically a pay per view of the rematch clauses from WrestleMania normally. Pardon me.
Now, yeah,
But
so Backlash will be taking place on the 10th of May. So we don't have a long time to wait for Backlash to swing its way round, and it will take place from St. Louis, Missouri.
I know, which is the hometown of a certain superstar that we will be seeing on night 2 of WrestleMania in his Open Challenge match. Yes, St. Louis, Missouri is the hometown of the Viper Randy Orton, so it would only be fitting that he has a match at Backlash, but who is going to receive the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment at Backlash? The RKO.
Yeah, it's well, we're going to have to wait for the next episode to come out for that one to go down. Instead, we will now turn our attention to the main event of the evening.
I'm so glad your neighbours are used to you doing that, because if I pulled that one out, my wife would have just jumped out of her skiddies and slapped me.
100%.
Do not jump scare my wife. Alone. Right?
But this is the men's triple threat match. And among other things, it's been billed as the winner of this basically defines the future of the future of WWE.
Let's face it, the winner of this match gets Paul Heyman. That is basically, you have been given the keys to the mansion when you've got that guy sat in your back pocket. You look at what he has done with Roman Reigns over with the bloodline and stuff like that, the work he did with Brock Lesnar, his client Brock Lesnar, and then of course the original Heyman guy, Mr. CM Punk himself.
Yeah, this is it. And Brock Lesnar is not in this match or even in this company at this present moment in time.
According to him, he is currently retired.
Yeah, he said that before, though. That's the thing.
Every wrestler needs a paycheck, according to John Cena.
They do. It's as simple as that. Now, Seth Rollins is the first entrant into this match, first one to come out. And do you know what? His entrance was probably the most interesting entrance of all of them, in night 1 at the very least, because he came out what I can only describe as an oversized black pillowcase, and he was armed with a flamethrower.
Right, of all the things that you could give Seth Rollins, the actual tools to burn it down were probably not the best things to give this man. But Seth Rollins got, well, let's give you some statistics about Seth Rollins to start off with, shall we? So,
go for it.
This is Seth Rollins' 12th career WrestleMania. He is 7-6 at WrestleMania. He competed twice in WrestleMania, twice. So in 2015 and last year in 2024, Seth Rollins had double duties. He made his WrestleMania debut alongside Roman Reigns, who's also in this match, in 2013 as a member of the Shield. And this is his 3rd WrestleMania main event, which for a guy who's been here 12 times to main event once every 4, that's not bad going, considering at no point has Seth Rollins been the face that runs the place or the champ that runs the camp. You know, he has had titles. Don't get me wrong, he held the Universal title for a little while. He's also held the World title for a little while. But he's never been the massive superstar that actually Seth Rollins probably should have been. Not the biggest Seth Rollins fan in the world, but I do feel that his career could have been a lot bigger than what it was. But he's already had what I would call a Hall of Fame worthy career.
Yeah, this is it. It's I mean, all three men in this ring, all three men in this match are headed on that Hall of Fame at some point in the future. So well, let's not take anything away from any of
Well,
them.
let's
But
put it this way: by the time these guys start getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, WWE would have run out of matches to publish, so they'll be inducting promos into the Hall of Fame. And what better promo
podcast.
to induct into the Hall of Fame when they get to that point as the first one being that inclusive 2013 pipe bomb where CM Punk laid everything down to line and was eventually cut off when he went to tell a personal story about him and Vincent Kennedy McMahon that Vince did not want being shared with the world. It's funny how Vince has got a lot of stories that he doesn't want being shared with the world, isn't it?
It is. But who knows? They may even start inducting podcasters into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we think Pat McAfee might be the first one to go in there, but Finishers and Factions will not be far behind him.
We'd like to think not.
No, we
I'm trying to
will.
think what kind of episode number we'll be on at that point, to be fair.
Well, I think I worked this one out earlier. This one will be season 1, episode 58. And then by the time we've finished WrestleMania Night 2, will be 59/60, which means our coverage of this season of WrestleMania and will have finished, and we will start season 2, episode 1, with our coverage of Raw after WrestleMania. So yeah, we are making it into our second season, ladies and gentlemen, for something that was only going to last a few weeks before one of us went, dude, I haven't got the time for this. We've lasted 4 months almost. 4 full months. We've been killing it.
Don't get me wrong. We've gotten close to saying no, I can't do it anymore. But we've not made it there just yet.
I only got close with NXT, but yeah, no. One thing we've not got close to getting fed up of is this main event because we have not even got there. Seth Rollins, for the first time ever, I believe, in a WrestleMania entrance, got himself a second entrance. No, so after he finished with his flamethrower and all the lights went out, I'm not going to lie, I had a slight feeling we were going to get an appearance from a certain Hall of Famer who was inducting their wife into the Hall of Fame last night. I thought for some reason Undertaker may just make a WrestleMania appearance at that point. But no, Seth Rollins removed the flamethrower and the bin bag, or the rather large black pillowcase, as Adam liked to describe it, and made a second entrance as basically God, with a all-white outfit on, or all-white suit to walk to the ring in. Probably the most normal thing we've seen Seth Rollins wear in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very angelic look and sort of very on brand for Seth Rollins, really.
Yes.
Now, next we had the emergence of the tribal chief as Las Vegas put their wands up to the sky to acknowledge him. And do you know what? In comparison to what Seth Rollins' entrance was, I found this to be like really simplistic. And despite the fact that this is like his 10th appearance at a WrestleMania with a record of 9-3,
Yep. It was his 10th time main eventing at WrestleMania. He has, a record of 9-3. Did you know he also has the 5th most wins at WrestleMania as well?
Oh, right, okay.
There are only 4 people above him with win in terms of wins at WrestleMania. Would you like to know who they are, Adam?
I mean, by all means. I can see your notes, so I already know who you're going to say. But
right, for those of us who can't see what I've got written, the 4 people who have won more WrestleMania matches than Roman Reigns are the Dead Man, The Undertaker, the man who main events tomorrow night, John Cena, the Rated R Superstar, Edge, and the man who was the face of the class of 2025, Mr. Triple H himself, Paul Levesque. So he's got that's not bad company. And to be fair, when you think you are missing the likes of Stone Cold and Kurt Angle and Bret Hart in that list, that is a very prestigious club to be in. So I would definitely swap himself out for this one. The one thing with Roman's entry that I would not change, or I would change, sorry, is the fact that he didn't find someone to hand the Ula Fala off to when he got to the ring. Obviously, since the bloodline has collapsed, it is no longer a relevant thing. There is, and with Paul Heyman being in the corner of Phil Brooks tonight, he had no one to hand it off to. No Usos, no Wise Man, no Honorary Us to hand that Udafala off to, and he just placed it in his corner of the ring very respectfully and went about his business after giving Paul Heyman some dirty eyes.
Well, Paul Heyman hadn't even made it into the ring at this point, because CM Punk is the last person to come into the ring. The one thing I will say before we get to CM Punk's entrance and all of his statistics is that the screen. So they had, like, I refer to them as leaf screens. So they had like these stray screens above the entrance ramp.
Oh, with the hanging down.
For the majority of WrestleMania, we're showing WrestleMania superstars, the likes of Io Sky, Bianca Belair, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. During Roman Reigns' entrance, however, all of those turned to,
bloodline members.
They were Samoan Dynasty members. It was people like Rikishi, the Wild Samoans, and
Umaga.
Umaga. So many others that were included in on those screens, and I like the fact that they did that. Again, they kept Roman Reigns is simplistic. It didn't have to be overly elaborate for it to be effective, essentially.
No, it was probably one of the better entrances of the night, to be fair. I mean, I really enjoyed Roman's entrance. I will say, I have seen a clip on social media since, I don't know if you've seen it, of Jacob Fatu playing the piano in a public place. I don't know where it was. And he's playing Roman's entry music on the piano. It's really, really cool. If I find it on social media next, I'll tag you in it. But yeah, it was a really cool clip of Jacob Fatu playing Roman's entry music on a piano, like a grand piano.
Or even better, if anybody listening to this finds it, especially finds it on TikTok, send it to our TikTok handle. I'll definitely give it a look.
It is at Finn and Fan Pod. We've actually just today hit 50 followers on the TikTok as well, so thank you all for that.
100%. Now, coming back round to the last entrance. Now, this was one of my favourite entrances just because, honestly, I enjoy the song, no matter who it represents. The song by Living Colour is immense. Now, CM Punk's entrance, his very first entrance to a WrestleMania main event, is there's a brief VT before he comes out, sort of a history of CM Punk, and for the second time in WrestleMania history, CM Punk has Living Colour perform live to play him out.
It was quality. I loved it.
I mean, the last time we saw it was at WrestleMania 29 in 2013 when CM Punk came out to try to beat the streak.
That wasn't when he came out and that was a long time ago now.
That
I've
was part
forgotten
of
Punk had a.
when
That was the reason the Shield were brought in, wasn't it? To protect Punk from the Undertaker.
something like that, because he'd part of the storyline for that match was that he had stolen the
Yes,
Undertaker's urn that had
Paul
Paul
Bearer in
Bearer's
it.
ashes in it.
Yeah. Only CM Punk could run off with something like that, piss off the Undertaker, and live to tell the tale. Don't get me wrong, he
Now,
got his ass kicked in the process, but he did live.
yeah, it's a case that. So from here, so we get, as Rich has mentioned a couple of times now, it is a case that Paul Heyman is coming down to the ring with CM Punk, and I think I've got it written down here somewhere that Paul Heyman is coming down to the ring, staring at CM Punk, as Paul Heyman has a tendency to do, with what I can only describe as the look of a proud parent.
Yes. I mean, Paul Heyman prophesied that CM Punk would one day be a WrestleMania main eventer before CM Punk left WWE. So, I mean, he can walk in here smug as anything and go, you know what, actually, I told you this was going to happen, and it has. So, fuck you. And that's pretty much what he's doing to Roman with that grin, to be fair, is a big, massive fuck you.
But yeah, as Rich alluded to earlier on, there was a significant moment as Roman Reigns removes his Ulafala, which would have been handed off to the wise man himself, and he made a very big show of making sure that Paul Heyman saw that he wasn't handing the Ulafala off to anybody or anything along those lines. It was being slung in the corner along with before the match bell rings for this match to begin. Now, there was a small standoff to at the beginning of the match, and again, CM Punk. We know he plays mind games. He's played mind games since day one. This match was no different.
It never was going to
Standoff,
be, to be fair.
CM Punk ducks out of the ring to basically go and make a very big show of going to consult the wise man.
I thought that was brilliant. He has to walk behind Roman to do it, and Roman is staring him out like, I'm going to fuck you up, bitch. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah. And
Punk was playing games.
Yeah, 100%. Seth then tries what I deemed as a last-ditch attempt to get Reigns on side, but Roman's already said he doesn't trust Seth, and after what happened with the Shield, why would he trust him? Let's face it. And
Roman's eating a steel chair from Seth a few too many times.
Yeah, but Roman is the one to land the first punch on Seth, and yeah, it's it's evident to see there's so much personal.
Are we sure that was a punch or just an open palm slap? Because it had a hell of a ring to it.
I mean, it's ringing off Seth Rollins' face. I mean, I'm not sure what you expected.
No, I did enjoy it, but it was a hell of a noise that came with it. To have been sat there, especially in the first few rows, to have heard that noise, you'd get goosebumps and an erection straight away, wouldn't you? Hell of a slap.
Think you're giving a little bit too much about yourself away there.
Nah, you feel the WrestleMania moment, you can get away with that.
Yeah, I mean, this match doesn't get contained to the ring and the outside of the ring. It ends up spilling out into the arena. CM Punk and Seth Rollins end up spilling out into the wider arena.
Yeah, they go for a nice little jolly around the VIP section, don't they? Just to give the fans a little bit extra of what they paid for.
Oh, 100%. We have chairs, trash cans being used to cause as much pain, physical pain as humanly possible.
Well, do I believe at one point that CM Punk suplexed Seth Rollins onto a trash can in the onto the concrete as well?
Yeah, he suplexed Seth Rollins onto a Dom Mysterio.
You mean he did it onto Logan Paul?
I wouldn't even call Logan Paul a trash can. But yeah, it's a case that, I mean, Roman Reigns does eventually get back into this and sort of brings the fight back to ringside.
The guy launches himself over the barricade and takes out both Seth Rollins and CM Punk with one move.
And then comes back and clears the Spanish announce desk.
The 57-inch vertical leap that guy has, apparently, and he completely just made that barrier look like he was stepping over a box of matches. It was a hell of a leap.
It was, and I don't know really if we would come to expect anything any different of Roman Reigns for that, because we've seen that man produce some absolutely inexplicable feats in the past.
Oh, of course.
And yeah, during this match, I could go through, because with the amount of notes I've got here, I've got what should be more or less a blow by blow of everything that happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could supply WWE with a document that would basically, they could give to another set of wrestlers and they could reenact the entire WrestleMania weekend. Exactly.
Yeah. I think between my notes and your notes, we probably could supply them with a pretty much a transcript of at least this match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they each get their opportunity to get their shit in, which we wouldn't expect anything any less of. Three veterans of the industry like these three. It is a case that everybody has to get their shit in. Shitting.
That was the noise the starter bell made. Shitting, shitting, shitting. There was there was one point though where you saw that there was just little bits that you wouldn't normally expect. So at the beginning of this match, I say the beginning, sorry. My notes are that long, I thought it was the beginning. About midway through this match, there is a bit where Punk slams Roman Reigns, goes up top. Seth Rollins jumps up after him, and so does Roman, and it looks like they're going to do like a double suplex. So both of them suplex Punk off the ropes. And then it comes to a point where it ends up with Punk hitting a double doomsday device, and then Roman hitting Punk with a Superman punch. Like the level of movement, ability, the move set that was being brought into it, and the combinations they were adding into it, you can understand why these three guys are the best there is at the moment. Like, yeah, Seth Rollins claims to be a visionary and a revolutionary. Those claims are very much sanctified by what he has done and the things he continues to do in the squared circle.
Yeah, and again, that's not taking anything away from CM Punk or Roman Reigns either. I mean, I'm not a huge Roman Reigns fan as it goes. I just,
I find Roman very samey. It's all sort of lots of Superman punches, big spear, few more Superman punches, even bigger spear. 1, 2, 3, Roman's retained. I mean, that's not how it went this time because he doesn't hold a title. But 9 times out of 10, Roman's matches are all very, very similar, and they're all very short too.
Yeah, it's he spent a lot of the last few years having matches that are very sort of one-sided.
Yes.
a few matches which I feel sort of pushed him to a limit of some kind, but
he's also had
nowhere
protection
near
as
close
well.
enough. Yeah,
He's always had someone else there. This is Roman's first match in a long time where he has been just Roman. There has been no Wise Man, no Usos, no Solo, no Fatu, no one.
yeah, it is a case that he is completely without any form of help, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the help would have helped too much in this situation because, well, I mean, everyone gets their moves in. You see, at one point, Punk locks an Anaconda Vice in on Roman Reigns. You know, you see him hit a rock bottom on Roman Reigns at one point. Seth Rollins gets double buckle bombs in. Punk bounced off that buckle bomb like a little bit harder than he should have done, maybe. He looked like that really did genuinely kind of go, oh, okay, maybe I do need to just stay down for a little bit. But then shortly afterwards, he manages to reverse a pedigree attempt. Roman spears him. And then Seth reverses the spear. This was probably one of the moves of the night. Reversing a full spear into a pedigree and then pulling off a stomp on top. And then not even covering Roman, going for the 2 count on Punk. Oh no, he rolls Punk out so we can get the 2 count on Roman, sorry, but yeah. My fucking notes are difficult to read the second time round. But yeah, such a combination of moves there. You would not have seen when Roman launched into that spear that Seth was going to ride him like a surfboard and then turn it into a pedigree. Absolutely phenomenal. Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, when was the last time we saw something as good as that? That was a WrestleMania move that was saved for a WrestleMania main event, and it made the difference.
Oh, 100%. One other thing that we don't really see Roman Reigns specifically do. Now, we said a few moments ago that a lot of his matches for the last few years have been a lot of big hits, a lot of spears, Superman punches, just really, really fucking laying the big muscly Samoan guy shtick in to get that to put that across. And we saw Roman using submission moves. At one
We
point, he
did.
locked. On several points he locked standing guillotines in on Punk. Punk especially. I think Punk really got fucking strung out on this match. I'm going to be honest because I feel like he took more punishment than the other two did.
He did, to a point, especially towards the end of the match and after the end of the match, without giving too much away.
Yeah,
Punk definitely absorbs a lot of punishment.
he really does, and yeah, like at one point, Reigns is locking in this standing guillotine on Punk, maintaining eye contact with Paul Heyman on the outside. And bless it, Paul Heyman looks to be having some kind of existential crisis on the outside of the ring. He does not look to be having a good time at all.
He's in between a rock and a hard place, to be fair, as Paul Heyman, because he's kind of been sucker punched into owing everyone favors and then having to deliver on them, and then yeah, I wouldn't want to be in Paul Heyman's situation right now. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's don't want to be in Paul Heyman's situation just now.
No, I'll take his paycheck.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, it is a case that where did I get to? Standing guillotine.
Well, we were just getting to the point where
Punk slips the hold into a pin for a 2 count. Punk maintains the pressure with another Anaconda Vice. I mean, Punk, while he's got his own submission maneuver, Punk is not normally one to go for submission moves. He's another one that is more of a striker than a technical superstar.
But yeah, he does have that MMA background, so he can go technical if he needs to. One thing
Oh yeah,
I've made a note of here, which I thought was brilliant, is when Roman and Seth tricked us into thinking that maybe for one last time we were going to see that Shield like powerbomb esque with both Rollins and Reigns teaming up to put Punk through the announce table, and then the absolute noise of the slap as Roman slapped Rollins in the face, and then decided that actually Punk was going through the announce table instead, and then Reigns went through the other one. So both announce tables got absolutely obliterated in this main event to a rather unfortunate level, because no matter how reinforced they are, and we are told an awful lot, they are newly reinforced. When the OTC decides that you're going through it, guess what's happening? You're going through it.
yeah, this is it. I mean, anything that the OTC decides you're going to be doing, you're going to be doing whether you want to or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Not
have
really a
wanted to have
choice you
gone
have.
through
Yeah,
that table, but Rollins and Punk definitely didn't want to be going through it, and they did.
yeah. Now this is sort of
Starting to get towards the end now.
we're starting to wind the match down a little bit now as it goes, because yeah, we've got the Anaconda Vice. I mentioned that Punk locked in earlier on Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins breaks the Vice by locking in a sharpshooter on Punk. Reigns then breaks the sharpshooter by locking in a guillotine on Rollins. There is just a huge exchange of submission maneuvers, and it's there's just so. I mean, Rollins shows an incredible strength of trying to of lifting Roman Reigns by finding that vertical base again, and with a sort of what can only be described as an absolutely astounding, like, suspension suplex pin for a 2 count. But Roman continues to have that hold locked in the entire time. He doesn't let that go, and it's only broken by Punk coming in and curb stomping. Oh yeah, there's just so much that happens.
There is always so much that happens in these main events, though. But I say that triangle guillotine that Roman locked in is absolutely horrific. And at one point, Seth Rollins actually has to suplex himself out of it, but he still doesn't release that grip. How can you
These
have
three
a
men,
grip locked in that badly that you don't even let go after your opponent has basically suplexed themselves?
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
It doesn't. I mean, obviously that's the whole process of the three amigos, pretty much. But yeah, even then, that still doesn't make sense how you can pull off that move and not let go. I suppose that's why they're professionals and we don't try this at home.
That, and to prevent trips to A&E.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's a case that these Punk, Reigns, and Rollins throw everything they've got at each other,
Including the
and
kitchen sink.
I'm pretty sure they threw more than the kitchen sink. It's anything that they could possibly think to throw at one another, they threw at each other, and they were making rods for their own back, because as soon as one of them got a pinfall, it was a case that they'd come in and break the pinfall or break the submission. I mean, at one stage, I'm pretty sure it was Punk who had 2 different submission holds being locked in on him at once
Yes.
during this match.
Yeah, like we said, Punk has definitely been feeling most of the abuse in this match. And I don't understand why. He's one of my favourite superstars. I don't think he should be getting abused quite this badly. Obviously,
Yeah.
Seth Rollins doesn't like him quite as much as I do, but that's Seth's problem, not mine.
Now, coming to the end of this match as it goes, I mean, still so many notes that I'm sort of reading through and I'm envisioning it all in my head. It's weird. But yeah, it is a case that I've got a note here that says Punk tries to hit a go to sleep on Reigns as Rollins interferes. Seth is put to sleep as Punk is speared by Reigns, and Seth hits the stomp to hits a curb stomp to Roman Reigns directly afterwards.
He does. It's at this point that we have Paul Heyman on the outside who walks from CM Punk's corner over to timekeeping and grabs a steel chair and walks back towards the ring. Now, at this point in the ring, closest to Heyman, you've got Punk on the left hand side, Reigns on the right hand side, and then Rollins is in the far corner behind Reigns.
Yeah.
And they're
Rollins
both
hasn't moved.
No, Rollins has not moved. He is pretty much down, out, and dead. And Punk and Reigns are trying to persuade Heyman that they are the person that needs to have the steel chair, and with that steel chair, they can obviously go on and win the match. After a little bit of toing and throwing, Paul Heyman decides that it's going in the direction of CM Punk. So he throws it to Punk. Punk picks it up and Heyman climbs in the ring. As Punk then goes to smash Roman Reigns in the back with it, Paul Heyman low blows him. CM Punk takes one to the second city scrotum, and we end up with him dropping the chair, Roman looking rather shocked, rather pleased, and we believe that the heist of the Century 2.0 could be on the way as Roman picks up the steel chair. Now, Adam.
Well, Roman is handed the chair at this point.
Well, he is presented it like something off a platter, like my tribal chief. I acknowledge you. Here is a nice shiny steel chair for your advantage.
Well, before Heyman even gives the chair to Roman Reigns, we have Heyman with chair in hand, screaming with apparent tears in his eyes about the fact that he made him choose between his friend and his tribal chief. And at this point, it is very much looking like the tribal chief aspect has won. Now, Heyman presents this same chair to Roman Reigns as he basically begs for forgiveness as Roman Reigns is raining chair shots on Punk himself. Now,
it's at this point, is this the point where we see that Seth has managed to drag himself up to the second rope and Roman is chair in hand?
Under different circumstances, Seth would be in a perfect position for a 619.
But I was just thinking that myself, to be fair. If Rey Mysterio was in the ring rather than Roman Reigns, we would be seeing a 619 being hit. Maybe not at the moment, Rey's injured, but Dom would have taken that opportunity.
I'm pretty sure Zelina Vega would have taken that opportunity as well, to be quite honest.
Definitely.
She's somebody else that... Stephanie Vecchio, somebody else that uses the 619.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Heyman is the first to notice Seth getting to his feet, hanging onto the ropes, and presents this opportunity to Roman, sort of saying, look, this is the perfect opportunity.
The shield. The shield.
The shield. Obviously, the night of the complete... The shield blowing up in the ring was Seth Rollins coming up behind Roman Reigns and landing one hell of a chair shot to the back of a much younger, much smaller Roman Reigns. And this basically is giving Roman a chance at vengeance for this shot. Now, Roman is more or less bringing that chair up to take that swing when, lo and behold, Paul Heyman does it again. But this time he low blows his tribal chief.
Yep, he hits Roman Reigns in his tribal testiculars. And Seth Rollins cannot believe his fucking eyes. Seth Rollins is the ultimate possum, isn't he? He plays possum better than anyone in this industry.
Well, Seth Rollins wasn't surprised at all. He is the architect.
Well, yeah, but I'd say the look he put on his face is just one of those, yes, he knew it was coming, but still managed to play it like, oh, it really happened. Not, oh dear, am I about to eat that chair shot?
Now, it's Heyman's face that I focused on more than anything else. When he low-blowed Roman Reigns, there wasn't an ounce of remorse in his face. If anything, I think he might have enjoyed it just a little bit, especially as he had to go and sit down in the corner of the ring afterwards to sort of admire his good work.
Are we admiring his good work, or are we thinking, holy crap, with this adrenaline, I might actually have a heart attack in the ring?
Or he might have had the biggest erection of his late life.
Yeah, what a way to, if you're having erectile dysfunction issues, guys, the best way to deal with it is low blow Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania. You can buy that on prescription service.
I mean, WWE World had a stand where you could chair shot a dummy of Logan Paul. Why wouldn't they have an opportunity to low blow Roman Reigns in the plums?
That is brilliant. I mean, the WWE have done bigger things to be pettier. Well,
yeah, but it is a case that before Heyman goes and sits in the corner, he grabs that same chair and hands it to Seth Rollins, who takes it like handing off of a ceremonial torch to the next torchbearer. And Seth measures Roman, chair in hand, shades of the past, as Roman returns to his feet, and Seth lays him out with a chair shot and pins Roman Reigns for the 1, 2, 3, winning the main event of WrestleMania Saturday.
And winning the wise man into his corner. I mean, I loved this match. I thought this match was incredible. It had everything it needed. It wasn't too over the top. It was everything I wanted it to be, minus a table somewhere. Well, but we had the announced tables, I suppose, so tables was ticked off. Yeah, shots were definitely brought in. We had no need for a ladder. But yeah, we got everything we needed, I think. If they'd tried to add too much more into this, I think it would have spoiled it.
Oh, 100%.
But definitely loved the double betrayal by Paul Heyman.
Oh, it was... I expected... no, I didn't even expect one betrayal, I will be honest. I wasn't sure where this match was going to go.
I thought Punk was going to win.
I had a feeling that for some strange reason, I had a feeling that it was going to end up being Paul Heyman was going to end up siding with Seth Rollins in one way or another. But I just assumed that I didn't expect him to low blow both of the other competitors in this match.
If you look at it, neither Roman or Punk had too much to pull from this. Punk got what he wanted, which was the main event of WrestleMania. You know, he's been after that since forever. And then Roman had already stated that he was retiring the OTC gimmick at WrestleMania. So he wasn't gonna keep Paul Heyman with a gimmick that he was finishing off that day. Like, there is no more OTC, apparently. I'm not 100% sure how true that's going to be. We'll have to wait until Monday Night Raw after Mania to see what happens. Or if there is an appearance made this week from Roman at any point. But yeah, so that's from what I've read. But the only person that really looked to benefit from this with Paul Heyman was Seth Rollins, and that's what we were given.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, that sort of brings my notes to an end for night one. I will be honest.
Yeah, mine are done too.
So I suppose the only other thing to ask at this stage is, Rich, do you have a highlight from night one?
Oh, I think for me so far, the best match would possibly have been. Oh, I think
So
for me the
I think I
best
already know
match
your
was LA Knight and Jacob Fatu for the United States
Okay.
Championship.
Okay. That was not what I was expecting you to come out with at all.
No,
I thought you were going to be torn between Jey Uso versus Gunther and the men's triple threat. I thought the opener and the closer were going to be the ones that you were
no.
trying to decide
I
between.
really, really wanted Jay to win. That happened. I got what I wanted. It was a great opening start to WrestleMania Day 1 for me. I think for me, I've been so lined up with this LA Knight, Jacob Fatu sort of storyline. I mean, even just the two of us just sending each other stupid voice notes with sort of like different wrestling quotes and stuff in it. It's the LA Knight ones that I have the most fun with. He's probably
Yeah.
one of the more entertaining guys on the roster at the moment. He's so over. I wanted to see him retain. That didn't happen this time round, but we do know some point in the future we are probably going to see LA Knight as a 3 times United States champion, or possibly you never even know, a world champion. But
Yeah, this is
yeah,
it.
I think for me it was LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. And I think my
And
highlight of that match would probably be. Oh, I don't know. To be fair, I think for me, I think it was seeing sort of like Fatu's face and the fact he had Haku at ringside for him. It's just nice to see a lot of this family stuff done at WrestleMania. So getting to see so many of these guys celebrate with their family, and especially with some of these families being generational wrestlers as well, it's pretty cool. You always get to see a little bit of history at WrestleMania.
yeah, fair enough. And what about for night two? Is there anything for night two that you're particularly looking forward to? Or
Ooh. So night 2 for me, I think it is gonna be. I'm intrigued by the women's triple threat match. I'm looking
right?
forward to the Sin City Street fight.
Yeah,
That fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental looks like it could be interesting. Day 2, I feel, is definitely the better day to watch. The only thing I'm probably not going to worry too much about is the Logan Paul match. But apart from that, the rest of day 2 looks pretty solid. And then, of course, we are going to be finishing that one off, seeing if John Cena can win that record 17th World Championship, or if Cody Rhodes is going to slap him down to earth and keep that title within the WWE universe.
yeah, this is it. It's do or die for the WWE Championship, and yeah, I suppose you'll have to see. You'll have to come back to hear all of our analysis and our opinions on that sort of on everything about to do with night two. But for now, night one is done. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Adam, and of course, Rich has been a dick. But
Yep,
other than that, and we'll see you all for night 2.
you certainly shall. And we will keep it timeless.